It's time for a vacation, and Fairway Travels is here to share great specials for you to choose from. Discover the charm and features of one of Sandals' 16 all-inclusive, luxury included, adults-only resorts, or a family-friendly beaches destination in the Caribbean. Or how about a couples resort in Jamaica? If cruising's your preference, get Thunderstroke aboard Carnival Cruise Lines or set sail on an award-winning Royal Caribbean ship. Join Virgin Voyages now for a wonderful adults-only sailing. It doesn't matter if you choose to travel by plane, train, automobile, cruise ship, or rowboat, we can help you reach your dream destination. Contact Fairway Travels today at 228-365-1012. That's 228-365-1012. Or email bookitnow247@gmail.com. Fairway Travels, where your journeys keep satisfying.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hello, friends. I'm Kent Skelton, and I'm so glad you are here. Together we can battle this struggle and find freedom from it all. Life is continuous, and it would be ridiculous to say that you or I don't experience those seconds, minutes, hours, or days that seem like they'll never end. Time continues on, regardless of how we feel or what we experience. We search, longingly for a way to handle and navigate through these situations we are experiencing. There has to be a way. Surely I can find the solution to get rid of these negative experiences and periods of despair I am feeling. Maybe it's not our own problems, but those of family members or loved ones that are living in pain. These pains may come from alcoholism, addictions, illness, grief, boredom, and in so many other forms. What will we do? Where is that light I'm supposed to be able to see at the end of the tunnel? When will I see it? When will this end? The timing to realize you need help is up to each of us. That's you, that's me. We are each individually accountable for ourselves. We have to make the change, and the timing is now. There's no time like the present to desire and begin that road to recovery. Together, let's reach that freedom from struggle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Freedom from Struggle show at Red's Round Table. And today we have our guest, Tony Campbell from the U.S. Navy. And of course, our co-host is with us, Eva Fulton. And we're so happy to see everyone today. Hey, as I've mentioned before, my name's Red Skelton. I'm from Biloxi, Mississippi. I'm part of the Celebrate Recovery here at First Baptist Church in Biloxi. And Celebrate Recovery was founded back in the 90s, and it is a program. It's a 12-step faith-based program for anyone with any type of hurt, habit, or hang-up. And I'm thankful for Celebrate Recovery in my life. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. And fortunately, today I have Tony, he as the guest. He is also part of Celebrate Recovery. Tony, we're certainly glad to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Red. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and Eva, our co-host, has been back from a pilgrimage, and she's been walking and talking and sharing. Welcome back, Eva.
Thanks. It's good to be back in the seat.
Oh yes, no doubt about it. You've got quite an adventure you're going to be sharing over, I'm sure, the next couple minutes, hours, days, weeks, months to come.
Yeah, and a book was born out of it, so I've got a book to write about it. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Eva, tell us a little bit about yourself as our co-host.
Let's see. You and I, we've kind of been co-hosting for about 5 months now, right?
Right.
Kind of about that. So, Army veteran, Desert Storm. I was a staff sergeant, and I'm a filmmaker, a author, speaker. I'm kind of a Jane of all trades, hiker.
Golfer.
But
I saw you hitting golf balls earlier today.
Yeah, I was hitting balls earlier today. So golfer, yeah, I'm a Jane of all trades.
Awesome, Eva. Hey, Tony, I'm thankful you, like I said before, that you're with us today. We've just met somewhat in person, seeing each other face to face in a video, but love to shake hands with you, hug your neck. But look, thankful for you being here. Share a little bit about yourself, Tony. Where are you coming to us from?
Well, my name's Tony Campbell. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I'm also part of Celebrate Recovery. I'm coming out of Hillsboro, Oregon, just west of Portland.
All right, out there in Oregon off the West Coast.
Yes, sir.
All right, we love it. Yeah, we're down here, like I said, South Mississippi, and I guess now we're on the northern shores of the Gulf of America, the old Gulf of Mexico. Same water, smells the same, tastes the same, looks the same, but we're loving it down here. We're thankful. Look, we got all kind of. Eva, you're in Maryland right now.
Maryland, yeah.
We got a good portion of the U.S. covered right this moment, and look,
almost coast to coast. Think about it, Red. We're
coast to coast. That is east to west coast and to the southern coast. That is pretty awesome. That's all right. And hopefully we got a lot of other people that'll listen from in between those points and from who knows where else around the world. And we're here on Military Broadcast Radio. We're giving veterans a voice. Tony, you two are a veteran. I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force. I did 20 years actually. And man, it was a blessing to serve, and I'm still a servant. I'm a servant at heart. And we are thankful and want to hear more about you. What about your military service and things like that? What did you do in the service? And if you don't mind sharing with us how long you served and anything else.
Yeah, I was in the service for 9 years. My first duty station was in San Diego on the USS Duluth, an LPD. It's a Gator freighter. We used to take the Marines out and drop them off at beaches, and sometimes we'd go back and pick them up. And then the other thing I did was I was on the USS White Plains, which was a food store ship stationed out of the Guam, USA. And when I got done there, I ended up on the USS Missouri, stationed at the time out of Long Beach. And as most of you probably know, that's the battleship where the Japanese signed the surrender, ending World War II.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty good. The Duluth. I this is actually, I'll be honest, the first time I've heard of the Duluth. But hey, there's so many. We have so many ships, so many places where veterans have served, and now I'm meeting somebody. I learn something new every day. There's no doubt about that. And Eva, you said you had served also. You served for quite a while, really. And although you're still within the civil service sector. And
I am.
Yeah,
yep,
right.
In DC.
Okay. And we all have these things in common. We're veterans, and we all, with your show From Pain to Purpose, with this show, The Freedom from Struggle, with Tony and doing his group with the Celebrate Recovery and Welcome Home, which we're going to be hearing just a little bit more about that in a few minutes. And I'm excited to know more myself. I just joined the group and became aware of it. But Celebrate Recovery, folks, is it's a faith-based program for anyone with any type of hurt, habit, or hang-up. It's not limited to the alcoholic. It's not limited to the drug addict. It's not limited to people that struggle with mental health issues like anxiety or depression. It is for anybody and everybody, okay? It really is. And I always like to say, if you don't have any struggles, if you don't have any hurts, habits, or hang-ups, you don't struggle with any type of hurt, habit, or hang-up, well, man, it's for you too. Because the reason I say it's for you too, because I got something I need to learn from you. Okay. And the only perfect one I know is the Lord Jesus Christ, that was able to live without sin, and all of us others, as I like to say, would Celebrate Recovery. And just in the day, like, we're all sinners and we all have something somewhere. And then again, if it's not too, there's times when I know problems and hurts, habits, and hang-ups might not be too difficult, but we also all have someone that we know that struggles, or we have family members that we know all too well that may struggle. And it may cause problems on ourselves, just because when I was alcoholic, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. I celebrate recovery from alcoholism for 30 years now. And whoa, what a blessing that is. And I tell you what, I give God all the glory for that, because there's no way I could have done it myself. And I did start out with Alcoholics Anonymous to begin with. And I did that for just a little while, but I learned about those steps and kind of brought me back to, talking about a higher power. Well, I already knew who my higher power was. I just wasn't allowing him to be in control of my life. I tried to go out and be in control of it on my own, and the old red man just couldn't handle it, y'all. And that's just kind of an introduction. And then fortunately our church back in the late 2018 or 19 began to Celebrate Recovery at our local church, and I was asked to be a part of it. And so thankful. And it's been nonstop ever since. Met a lot of different people. It's helped a lot of people, a ton of people just in my community. And we have 4 or 5 active Celebrate Recovery groups in our area at different churches. And wow, the people I've met just here locally, not to count the people I've met nationally, mainly through Facebook, mainly through just being involved with Celebrate Recovery, which was begun. Tony, you know a little history about Celebrate Recovery. When did it begin? Back in the
1991. Pastor John Baker wrote a 13-page single-spaced letter to Pastor Rick Warren and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this." And Pastor Rick Warren read it, brought him into his office, said, "Go for it, do it." And that's how we did it. So John had gone to like several small groups, as any of us in church probably have, or they call them life groups sometimes. And
sure,
he was having a hard time to relate and share, some of the struggles he was having, because most of the folks, at the time, he didn't think any of them had those issues. So he thought he's the only one. And so that's what kind of birthed it and started it. And so, yeah, it's been pretty cool to see it grow into what it is now. We do a lot of online, which has really helped us expand, our reach to people. One of the things I'm excited about is we're starting to get them out on Navy bases. I got a guy out in Norfolk, a chaplain out there. He's got it in the chapel on the base, and we're getting ready to launch one, which is going to be called CR Afloat. So we're going to have CR on the ships, which is
CR
really
awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're real excited about, and I've been the national for 2 years. Coming up, I think April will be 2 years. Yeah, it is April. So yeah, 2 years. So. Here we are. It's just it's going so fast, and my wife has done just an amazing job with the social media. She created this Facebook page.
Okay.
This current Facebook page is only less than a week old, and we're getting lots of followers on it already, which is
hopefully,
amazing.
Tony, we're gonna get a lot more after today, because right after we come back from break, we are going to be going into that, what you got going on with that social media platform. And and the reason I wanted to talk about the Celebrate Recovery when it started was just in my community. I've seen how it's helped people, but from my understanding, it's helped millions of people. There are tons of people, folks, throughout our nation that has taken part in Celebrate Recovery, and I guarantee it to you, it's making an impact throughout the kingdom, if you will. But look, we're going to go on a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to hear more from Tony, and especially about this social media platform that they have begun. We're going to share it with you, and some of the outlooks on it, some of the future, some of what you think was going to come out in the future, with these other groups kicking on and joining in. Okay, so let's have a word from our sponsor real quick. We're going to listen to a special song also, and one of my favorites, and man, is a great artist right here, and it gives just a lot to all of us. Okay, so here we go.
It's the guts and it's the glory, 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's a line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop, and his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's the light. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on the front line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, pay the ultimate price. Oh. He was the man of the house when he was born. His family is proud but torn. But if you knew him, you would understand. He was raised on how to be brave, just to see the flag still wave. And then he came home with only one hand. He's Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down here to lie. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on these front lines. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, he'll pay the ultimate price. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. March in line, march in line. Hey. Hey.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities. they represent.
Find us on the web at nbradio.us.
All right, welcome back, folks. And we're here with my co-host Eva and our guest today, Veteran Tony Campbell from out in Oregon. And we're going to talk a little bit now about what is this thing you started there, Tony, on social media, and we got going on. Share a little bit more about it with us.
Well, we've been working with a Facebook group for a long time, but then this last week we launched a Welcome Home Facebook page at the urging of our social media director, Domingo. Really neat guy. He does a lot of the Celebrate Recovery social media. And I said, sure, what the heck? And my wife reached out to him, and because she does she's my tech rep for Welcome Home. So she does a lot of the background stuff that I can't do with my full-time job. So it's pretty cool. And it's launched well. We've gotten a lot of followers right off the bat. So we're pretty excited about the reach that it's having.
Well, it definitely looks good. I remember seeing it for the first time, and wow, I was really impressed. And there's also a video that you have on there from Welcome Home, Celebrate Recovery and Welcome Home that someone had posted. And I urge people to go to that Facebook page. And what's the title of it again? It is Celebrate Recovery, Welcome Home.
Yep, Celebrate Recovery, Welcome Home. And there's a group and a page.
Okay. I'm going to type that in the comments also. So I got Celebrate Recovery, Welcome Home on Facebook. I urge people to check it out, join the page, help support them. And it's really a great thing. And also never forget to check us out, Military Broadcast Radio, Military Broadcast Talk on Facebook. Share the page, like it. Like I said, join us, and it's a great way to help support us. Ask your questions. Let us know things you want to see on MBR. We'll try to bring it to you. You can also put things right here in the comments today with us. If you'd like to ask Tony a question more about the Facebook page he started, or anything about Celebrate Recovery, we urge you to ask any questions. Okay. I also want to remind you, Eva has a show from Pain to Purpose that will be airing, I think, in about an hour and a half. I believe it's what time is that? Is that 5 or 6 o'clock?
6 Eastern.
6 o'clock Eastern time.
Yeah.
And it's an hour following this show. And
right.
Well, you don't want to miss that either. Tony, you say you've been involved with Celebrate Recovery. How long have you been involved with Celebrate Recovery?
I've been involved coming up on 15 years.
Okay. Wow. That's a long time. I felt like I've been involved with it for a little while. It feels like forever, but then again, it feels like just, a week or two, although I've seen a lot of different people go through the 12 steps already, and they're just continuing to do so. And we're continuing to work. I will share later in the show those steps I see as some of the most important. And I was saying that to you, the first 3 steps, but then again, the last step is so important. Once we come through those steps and we continue and we're sharing with others, we're being disciples. We're actually kind of throwing it into the Great Commission, and helping others, helping ourselves, but not keeping a secret. And then again, step 4 is so important. You got to start doing that inventory, and that's kind of, it's recovery for everyone, and including me. And yes, it is. I mean, it really is, because, as I mentioned before, it's for sinners. It's for anybody that has any type of hurt, habit, or pain, or hang up, or any type of pain of any form. Doesn't have to be alcohol. Doesn't have to be one particular thing. I always like to joke around. It could be because you got stinky feet or bad breath, and you just need to deal with it. You gotta let somebody else know about it. And also, with the serenity prayer also that, we really are so adamant about with Celebrate Recovery too, is such a way that it can help others. What are some of the top steps that you feel are important? I mean, I know they all are, Tony, but what would be your favorite ones, or your most ones you really want to put the most impact on?
I would say step 4 for me, because it was where I really started taking the inventory, And when I was doing it the first time, my sponsor was like, he's like reading through it and he's like going, well, have you done anything good? Because it was all, I didn't know to keep it balanced when I first did it, even though it told me, when I was in the instructions, it said keep it balanced, but I didn't. So all I did was write down all the things that either bad had happened to me or all the things that I was bad at. And he asked me that one question, and it was kind of like a turning point for me to go, oh, okay. So you can celebrate your wins in life too, not just your, because I'm an engineer by trade. And so I was taking an engineering, viewpoint where I'm going to go fix the problem.
Right.
And worry about what I'm doing good. Great. You did that. Great. I don't care about that. What's the problem? Why is the equipment, or in my case, why is me not working right? I was trying to go after it on that kind of approach. And that's not it. You want to look at your wins, because I think when people only look at the bad, they get into a real state of depression, because like a lot of people, I didn't come to Celebrate Recovery for alcohol or drugs. Now, I had a huge drinking problem in the service, but my main reason to come to Celebrate Recovery was because of my anger and failed relationships. It had nothing to do with anything else. I believe in my younger days, I was medicating with alcohol to have a sense of belonging and camaraderie and that kind of thing. But as soon as I got out of the service, I just stopped. It wasn't like I didn't go into any kind of detox or nothing. I just stopped drinking. As simple as that. Wasn't going out, wasn't needing to do it. So that was fortunate for me.
Right. Hey, I get you. And that's the same way when I came in to Celebrate Recovery. Like I said, I didn't realize I was celebrating recovery. I thought I was just a recovering alcoholic, but I have been celebrating recovery for 30 years now, plus since 1994. And wow, I didn't start with Celebrate Recovery. It started with AA, like I mentioned before. And I'm not against any of the other recovering places. The 12 steps are so strong, but I just want to encourage people to look at it from a biblical, or faith-based standpoint, if you will, because there are verses, the Bible goes right along with it. And well, you can't go wrong. Now with step 4, you mentioned step 4, and I appreciate you mentioning, you sitting there looking at your inventory and taking care of all your negatives. However, you got to keep it balanced, right? You got to hey, just cause you take an inventory of the good stuff too, all the positive and negative type things in your life to keep a balance. Because wow, if we sit there and look at negativity all the time, we're not really going to be thinking a lot about ourselves. We're going to think about, we'd be wanting to put that, how do I do that? Yeah, I don't know which way, one way or the other, but putting that L on it, and thinking you're a real loser when we're not. And there's so much to gain, and you haven't lost till you quit, to completely quit. And when I say lost and have till you completely quit, I'm talking about when you've yelled uncle and you've surrendered. And wow, we can learn so much. Step 4 keeps coming up. I'm thankful you said step 4, because I look everywhere I look, I see step 4. Step 4. And it is, wow, our lesson just Thursday night was about step 4, and doing that balancing act with it too. And folks, you don't have to do this thing alone. Now, our recovery it's up to us. Nobody, we can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink. The program works if you work it, as they say. And that's with other 12-step programs. Also, you can get better if you try. If you work at it, you can get better. And we at Celebrate Recovery, it's an anonymous group. Now, Tony, it don't look like we practicing our anonymity too much, are we?
Nope. And I think that's one of the things when you do get into leadership, your anonymity kind of goes out the window, but we keep everybody else's.
And we're 12-stepping it. We're on that 12 step and constantly, you can agree or not, but we constantly do our inventory over and over, daily inventory. And you have to do that to stay on track. Eva, I know you popped out a couple times. Did you hear my question?
No, because I had some internet
I didn't ask
problems.
one. I didn't ask one.
I had internet problems. Like everything went, black. sorry.
Well, hey, but welcome back. Hey, glad you made it back, and good. Hey, you're getting the kinks out for your show when it starts a little later.
Yeah, it was
And
weird. Yeah.
but we were talking about these steps and doing an inventory, that we talk about and Celebrate Recovery, like Freedom from Struggle at Red's Roundtable. It's not all about Celebrate Recovery, but then again, I want to say it's all about Celebrate Recovery because that's just what I have so much faith in, with a way to work through our hurts, habits, and hangups, regardless of what they are. And I know with you, we sit here and talk about doing an inventory, daily inventory. What's your point on that, from your perspective, when you're really working on yourself?
Who are you talking to?
I was talking to you, but
Oh, no, I didn't know if you were addressing the
no, I'm
question to
sorry.
me or
Yeah,
to
I
him.
am. I was asking.
I mean, I do a personal inventory all the time, and that's
Right,
just because, it's like I'm a hiker, right? Well, if
right,
you're not always checking what's in your bag, what do you need to add, what do you need to take away, because every ounce matters. You have to assess the shoes. Am I having some foot problems? Am I having, do I have all the right equipment, or I need to you know, get a new hiking pants or a new poncho because I'm going into a different environment where it's going to rain. If you don't do those kinds of self-assessments, daily, weekly, monthly, because seasons change, the people in our lives change, and how we're evolving, it's always kind of a constant learning, my experience, and we have to learn from ourselves, we learn from other people, and we grow together.
sure. And so if we don't do these inventories and we don't really take notice, even for those folks that might be recovering from something for a long time, if you don't do this inventory, you get stuck in a rut. I mean, I find myself, if I'm not looking back at the things that are going good, they're going bad, what I need to be working on, what I need to pay attention to. How am I going to get any better if I get stuck in a rut or if you start drifting backwards? I'm not saying as an alcoholic to go back into drinking, I'm talking about, but how can you, if you don't do your inventory regularly, you can slip out of pace. If you don't read the Bible, for me, if I don't read the Bible or pray and think about the Lord every day, try to do try to be a good witness and just throw that, okay, well, I'm taking the day off. Well, you take a day off, then it's the second day off or something. And then, you
We
just fall out of
slipping.
whack and then we're in a rut.
But isn't
Maybe,
Red, isn't that part of like even some of the things that we learned in the military, like doing an after action review? And part of it is is there something that keeps us from doing a daily AAR? What was supposed to happen, what did happen, how do we make it better? And what's the plan for tomorrow for the next event so that we don't have those things happen again and we're better prepared to just live life.
right. And so we're sitting here saying that it pertains to business and everything else and in our daily life, whether it's a group, whether it's the individuals. Of course, going back to the freedom from struggle and from that Celebrate Recovery type of perspective, which, like I said, it works for everyone. It works for me. It works if you work it. It doesn't if you don't, obviously. And I don't.
So you know what, Red?
What's that?
For Terry, so Terry, is that kind of how you guys have been able to evolve as an organization? How do you get the message out better? How do you, really communicate what your group is about, and finding a way to get to the masses of people to share the information?
Yeah, a lot of it's through our social media pages, word of mouth. We have in Celebrate Recovery, we have what we call reps, Celebrate Recovery reps, and they will go out to the individual churches and try to launch Celebrate Recoveries. A lot of one of the other avenues is we do go to a lot of the recovery houses or even We talked to some of the folks that do the other recovery programs like AA, Narcotics Anonymous, even counselors in the area. We try to let them know, hey, we're here. I go to the VA hospital, let the chaplains know, hey, this is another avenue, for folks to get recovery, which they're always open to. Right. And so that, it is getting out there and talking, just like, just like Christ taught us. He said, open your mouth and talk, go out and be disciples. And, that's how he did it. He didn't go out and get 1,000 people. He went and talked to 12 and got 12 going. Right. And then those 12, it's almost like, it's like anything else. It's word of mouth, a lot of it. And, and
I have an offer for you right now, because I'm the vice chair for a Veterans Affinity group at one of the departments in DC. Would you be interested in a lunch and learn, being a guest on and talking to a bunch of federal employees?
Absolutely, because I think any of these, and that's why Red he reached out to me a day or two ago and asked me if I would meet on his podcast. I'm thinking, well, let me check with the boss, make sure I don't have anything else scheduled for today. And she says, the only thing we got scheduled is housework. I said, good. Yes, Red, I can do it.
I like it.
All right. So, but you owe her one. You better take her out to dinner for this.
Oh, I always do. She's a gift from God for me, for sure. So,
but are you also? So I'm a moderator in several veteran Facebook groups. Are you okay if I share your link within these other groups?
Please do. Yeah, by all means. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be fabulous. And I'm a former chaplain for Women Veterans of America. I don't know if you've heard of WVA, but I'm the former chaplain.
I have. Yeah. I have. My good friend Debbie out here, she's just getting ready to retire from the military, and she's also one of my Welcome Home ambassadors. And so that's the other thing with Celebrate Recovery is we have different initiatives. The Veterans Welcome Home one is the one I'm doing. Right. And then we have cultural communities. We have, Celebrate Recovery Inside, where we go into the prisons. We have Celebrate Recovery International, which is going all over the world. Wow. So anything we can do to help reach. I mean, my thing is, and I'm like Red, right? If you got to get recovery and you need to go to AA, NA, whatever you need to go to, get your recovery. We know that eventually people are going to say, is there anything else? And I'm always going to say, yes, there's Christ. Because that's what I believe in. And so I will tell them that, but I will always support anybody in any kind of recovery. And I have veterans that are, on the fence. They're not sure if they believe in Christ, but I said, just come to the group. We'll share, we'll talk. It is Christ-centered, so we are going to mention it. They're perfectly okay with that. They're perfectly okay with prayer. And I would say 95% of the time, they say, I want to make a commitment. And that's,
wow, that's awesome.
Because my main thing is I want to help them recover, but I want to introduce them to Christ, and have a safe place for the veterans just to share. Because when I first started CR, there wasn't a welcome home, but I would go to open share groups, and sometimes I didn't fit in. And kind of like how John Baker started this thing, he didn't fit into some of the church share groups, but I started talking to other veterans, and I could share things that happened to me in the military, without getting into real graphic details, but.
Oh, for sure. But you were talking on the same page, the same lingo. So you understood each other and you didn't have to explain the background. And that helped. It helped you feel at ease to open up and share the important parts without all of that other extra stuff. Right. My question for you, though, is, for somebody who is, let's say, looking for what their options are. I think the hesitancy is to, how do I not feel the shame by saying I need to go to a group? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be the biggest hurdle is the admittance. So you kind of moving past the denial and having to face on the admittance that I have an issue that I need to address. But how do I go in there with not feeling like my head's hanging between, my head's down low and going in there in shame.
Well, interesting enough, when I started Celebrate Recovery, and I'm gonna answer your question, but I'm gonna share a portion because I think it'll really come home, right? So I had a friend of mine. I was going to a men's group church, and he invited me to Celebrate Recovery. And I'm like, Celebrate Recovery? Why? I don't struggle with alcohol. I don't struggle with drugs or anything. And he's like, well, you got some hurts, right? And I go, yeah. And he goes, like, you got some hang-ups, right? And I go, yeah. And he's like, it's starting to lead to bad habits. And remarkably enough, I was just about ready. So backing up, I was going through a divorce, and I was looking for answers. I couldn't figure out. I did divorcecare.org, which was great. It was a great organization. I loved doing it, but there was still something missing. I wasn't sure how to unpack some of the stuff that I was going through. And I felt very ashamed of going through a divorce. I felt like a failure. Nothing seemed like it was working. And so at the time, I was just on the verge of getting a full divorce. I was separated, and I just didn't know. He told me to try it, so I did. But I walked into those doors and thinking, I'm one of, I'm going to a recovery meeting. What? I don't belong here. I have a great job, and I didn't want nobody to find out. I mean, nobody. I was worried that if my work found out, I could lose my job. None of that ever became. All that was,
It was fear. It was
fear. Yeah. False evidence appearing real to me. I thought nobody's going to like me. And what I have learned over the years is the more I've shared, the more people, my cubicle at work, I work at Intel, and I literally will have people, veterans, anybody, they know they can come to me and they can talk. And if I can't talk right now, we set up a time and I'll go talk to them. I'm not a licensed counselor, but I can listen. And so I'll listen to them and let them tell their story. And then, I'll say, well, how can I help you? And then I let them tell me, because I try not to try to fix everybody. I just try to say, hey, what do you got? And then I'll offer them resources and, things like that. And it's the blessing for me, because I don't get paid to do any of that. The blessing for me, though, is this person can now, come up to me maybe a year from now. Is like, man, thank you so much for at least listening to me and pointing me into some directions I can go to get some help. Awesome. That's all the reward I need right there.
Isn't the next thing, I think, really for somebody to recognize that they're not alone?
Yes. And it's interesting you say that too, because Red, back when I was a kid, my dad was an alcoholic, and I could not understand why my mom wanted me to go to a group at the time, and I don't know if they still exist, called Alateen, and It's basically Al-Anon for kids. And I'm like, why am I going to this? But so I went, I was obedient to my mom. I went and I got in there. And with the thing that struck me is like, oh my goodness, I'm not alone. There's other kids that have the same issues. And put me back in the school system. In high school, I didn't think anybody in my high school had the problems I had. But now I was with a group of other teens that had the same exact issues. And I was like, wow, great. I'm not alone. So I encourage people, try it out. Try any avenue of recovery you think might work for you and find the one that works and go. That's my suggestion all the time.
Hey, Tony, I appreciate that. And when you said that, a lot of people, and whether it's going to that Alateen, Al-Anon, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Celebrate Recovery for that matter. There's a lot of people that come there because they've been told they have to go by a judge. They're court ordered. And they might need to be getting that time in a recovery type group and getting paperwork signed. You have other people that know, wow, that has sure helped Ken out. That sure helped Red out. Maybe I need to go check it out. So it's not that anybody comes to the place without not even ever looked at a problem, but we have that desire to stop drinking, that desire to do without drugs, that desire to learn how to deal with grief or anxiety or depression or that bad breath, like I was talking about better, so it's, and that the anonymity part, right? Like I said, it's out the window for us, but I guarantee you, we don't talk about somebody else that's in a meeting, it's that's just strictly against the rules and stuff like that. But I urge anyone to attend a Celebrate Recovery meeting, to attend a recovery meeting. Get rid of the stigma, and you'll realize there's other people with the same similar problems you have, and you may have been struggling with this particular issue for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden something just clicks. It's like, wow, I've been carrying this baggage all this time, and I could have emptied that suitcase a long time ago, washed it all, let it all washed away, could have been clean, and then could have been ready to pack for that next trip. Look, we're going to take a quick moment from our sponsors. And also I want everybody to pay attention to this on the Veterans Day cruise that's coming up, Military Broadcast Radio. We're going to be going on a Veterans Day cruise November 9th. Check out this little short video. We'll be back, folks, in a few minutes. We'll talk about the first 3 or 4 principles in the 8 principles to celebrate recovery. And then it's going to be close to closing time and time to sign off until next week. But we'll have a little quick prayer before we depart. Here we go. See y'all in a few minutes. Join Military Broadcast Radio and Fairway Travel for the 2025 Veterans Day Cruise aboard Carnival Vista. We will embark on a 6-day Eastern Caribbean cruise November 9th through 15th from Port Canaveral. Are you ready to relax, explore, celebrate? This is a voyage you don't want to miss. Destinations include Amber Cove, Half Moon Cay, and the all-new Celebration Key. Delight in the Dominican Republic's Amber Cove with stunning beaches and island vibes. Enjoy Half Moon Cay, known as a private Bahamian paradise. And finally, a day at Celebration Key, Carnival Cruise Line's exclusive new getaway. Honor the heroes in your life with an unforgettable cruise experience this Veterans Day at sea. Fairway Travel will handle all the planning so you can focus on making memories. Call Fairway today, 228-365-3480, or email fonda@fairwaytravel.com or red@mbradio.us. All right, and we're back. Look, thanks, folks. Everybody, that cruise right there, it's not only for veterans, okay? It's for first responders. It's for teachers. It's for nurses. It's for doctors. It's for anybody that feels patriotic, anybody that wants to just have a good time on a fun ship, Carnival Vista. Y'all join us. Contact me.
Come and wobble with us.
So we're going to do this. We're going to do this, folks.
We'll do the electric slide. Don't worry. We'll be out there leading the dancing on the deck.
No doubt about it. Hey, let me play this real quick because before we get into the rest of it.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program. Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Had to do that disclaimer in there, make sure nobody thought this was strictly MBR's views. But anyway, look, we're back with the Freedom from Struggle show. We got our co-host Eva Fulton and our special guest of the day from Celebrate Recovery Welcome Home group, Tony Campbell. And look, I promise we're going to look at a few of these principles, and I'm going to bring those up here today. I don't know if y'all can read this. You might enlarge your screen. If Tony, if you're looking at this also, but what I would like to do, if you want to read the step or the Bible passage to follow it, I would love to do that. So we're kind of doing it individually, and even on the Bible verse, whoever reads the Bible verses, we can do that in unison also.
Sounds good.
Can you read? Can you see it or know them by heart?
I can see the first 4. So as you go down, I'm sure I'll be able to stay up with it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, look, this is Celebrate Recovery's 8 principles. And the first principle, much like the first step, is realize I'm not God. I admit that I am powerless to control my tendency to do the wrong things and that my life is unmanageable.
Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 5:3 NIV.
Matthew 5 NIV. Okay, and principle 2, earnestly believe that God exists, that I matter to him, and that he has the power to help me recover.
Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Matthew 5:4
NIV. And principle 3 is constantly choose to commit all my life and will to Christ's care and control.
Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Matthew 5:5.
All right, that's good stuff. I can't see the whole fourth one, so I had to pass that one up. But that's where we're getting into those inventories and that type stuff, and just being pure and becoming pure in heart, like the Bible says. God bless blessed are those who are pure in heart. And those principles, it comes from the Beatitudes. It's such a simple thing, really, isn't it, Tony? I mean, regardless of what faith you might come from or what walk of life, if you actually look at these steps, the principles, the biblical verses that go along with them, man, it's perfect sense. You can't argue with it. It's like it's the truth.
Yeah, amen. And that's what it is. I mean, sometimes I think a lot of us will overcomplicate, the Word of God, and it's really simple. There's a lot of details in there, and you can dive in and you can do a lot of theological spin-offs from it. But in the crux of the matter, it's very, very simple.
Yes. Wow. Look, it's been, I think today's show's been very informative. There's been some good things brought up, and I like the questions that Eva, like you posed, it really brought a lot in the open also. But celebrate recovery. Look, like I said, it's for anybody. Recovery, life is for all of us, okay? And to make things in life better is also for all of us, and it is available to us. And I want to encourage people, you can look online, you can look on the apps, the different apps on your Android and iPhones, but you can search Alcoholics Anonymous. Yeah.
I think a good way to probably help give people, some next steps is, what is a simple 1, 2, 3 that they need to do next? To what if they, by watching this show, recognize, hey, you know what, I think I need some help with my hangups or, pains, whatever that is. What do they need to do? Simple 1, 2, 3.
Simple 1, 2, 3. For one thing, and this is where I say, look up, go to a meeting, go find somewhere, go to the church, go ask somebody. Don't keep it. The biggest thing is don't keep it to yourself. Ask somebody. Let somebody else know that you're struggling. Okay, because they very likely might have the resource, okay, that you can find right there at the moment. Hey, do you know about any type of place where I could go if I'm struggling with depression? And it could be that you need to make a call to the hospital. And so
this is stemming from a choice, right? To do something, because you can't just decide to do something. You got to choose first. So what are your choices? It's either to do something or not to do something. So obviously the first step is choosing. I need to get help.
Let somebody else know. Ask someone.
Yeah, and I'd say make a decision, right?
Right.
That's part of the choice. We got to make a decision. One of the things I tell folks that are interested is I share the www.celebraterecovery.com page. Right. And from that page, you can go to a link it's a CR locator. You can simply type in your zip code, and you can Celebrate Recoveries that are close to you will pop up. Right. And there's different ways to search it. But, a lot of folks, I get a lot of emails from people that all over the country are just trying to find one. What I usually do is I'll spend a 5-minute Zoom call with them and say, here's one in your area. The other thing I will do is I'll tell them we have an online one on Wednesdays at noon Pacific time. Right. And so this is a place where, we got a lot of truck drivers, veterans, so there's nothing close to them. They can call into this online one and get Celebrate Recovery. And then we have a separate share group for men and a separate share group for women. And they go to those breakout sessions. It's all done through Zoom. Really well ran. I was amazed at how well it's actually done, but it's given people another avenue. And then from that meeting, we will try to help them at the end, to try to steer them toward a Celebrate Recovery in their area. And we'll put them in touch with somebody so they don't just feel like, okay, well, I went to this online thing. Now what? So we try to get them, what I say is get them plugged in, get them into the system, you know.
So this is what I'm hearing. It's a choose, decide, and a do.
Yep.
Oh yes, that's definitely. But I was looking at the standpoint of what, you know, how you were saying the 1, 2, and 3. Hey, that's the first, second, and third step right there. You know, that those right there. But you got to get to somewhere. You got to get to somewhere you find those steps. Whether you go to celebraterecovery.com, whether you go to an app for Celebrate Recovery, if you look up Alcoholics Anonymous, they have an app. They have all these different recovery groups have apps. That suicide awareness hotline, you know, that if you're experiencing any kind of thing, that what was the number? Is 988? Is it 988? What is? I don't want to say that wrong.
That's the
yes,
suicide
988,
one.
988, and that's a national helpline. And it's subjects substance or any kind of abuse, or if you need any type of help, you can call that number and you'll be directed to somebody that can actually talk and listen to you at that point in time. Now, if you don't have that, you can't remember that, well, you could dial 911, okay? But ask somebody. You cannot keep it to yourself. Talk to your church leaders or somebody. Reach out. Where can I get help? Or please, I need help. And the best thing to do at any point is not keep it bottled up inside. Talk to somebody about it. And that way you've made one step. And then you can make that next step and finding the right place to go. Okay. And then obviously they have the steps and ways to recover once you get involved with something. And I really urge everybody, if you do get involved with one of these recovery type things, you need a sponsor. You need somebody that's been through it. You need somebody that has seen it, that knows what to, you know, that can help guide you, can help mentor an individual to be, while everybody at these recovery programs are a ear to hear. Okay. That's a lot what it's about, being there to hear other people and having somebody to speak to that will listen, instead of maybe your significant other or your child, or, you know, some friend or anything like that. Sometimes it's easier to speak to people that are experiencing similar type issues that won't be judgmental towards you. They get it, and they're quite ready to help you
the
take
bias
that next
is removed.
step. Right.
The bias is removed.
Right. It's okay. Look, it's 57 minutes after the hour. Our show's about to end. Hopefully, I would love for the three of us to get back on again at some point and talk about this stuff. And but right now, we're going to have to close out with a serenity prayer, and then, of course, our closing. And I'm going to try to bring the serenity prayer up on our screen. And I'm going to ask anybody, if you are by any chance driving or in a unsafe type situation or environment, don't close your eyes and pray this prayer or listen to us as we pray. But if you're in a safe environment, you might want to sit here and read this with us, okay? But I'll lead it off. If y'all want to read along, that's fine. But God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace. Taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it. Trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy with this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen. Amen. Thanks, Tony. Thank you for being here with us today, buddy. And I really look forward to seeing more of you, hearing more of you. I'll see you on your Facebook page. Hope you'll tune into Freedom from Struggle. Folks, I was talking about this CR app, these other apps. Also, I asked that you look up Military Broadcast Radio on Google, or go to your app store and get the app.
Download it.
and download it, get involved with it, see when we got shows. We got a
Because
show
we have a
on there for
gaming,
everybody.
we have gaming now too.
Eva.
So.
Yeah, are you into the gaming deal? But,
No,
yeah,
my son is.
Well, we
So-
got gaming on there also, and there's tons of people that are just thrilled about it. Okay, so look, y'all check it out. We thank you for being here today. Stay tuned. An hour from now on MBR, we'll have Eva's show, From Pain to Purpose, and multiple shows throughout the week. We look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks again, Tony. And let's do our closing little section here, and we will see you next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.
Very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.